The invisible player has finally returned. Spoke took over all the strongholds in the overworld, and now he's heading into the underworld. So much happened in Spoke's latest video, so let's break down everything one by one. At the start, Spoke finally returned to the overworld, and a lot of people might underestimate this, but this was actually very important, because while escaping the end, the Cinder Crest trap was destroyed, which means new players can now join the server again. After that, Spoke took over the stronghold closest to spawn and easily killed the entire Cinder Crest army. Everything was going perfectly until he found out about a player called Wrath, and we later found out that Wrath was actually the invisible player. So now we know that this isn't a player we've seen before. He's a completely new character in Unstable SMP. But who could it be? Well, we know it's probably not SB737 because he has talked about this multiple times publicly, and trusted players of Unstable aren't allowed to talk about this for the same reason. So it's probably not Dolphin either. Then who is he? We still have no idea, but keep watching because later I'll talk more about the invisible player and there might actually be a clue that reveals his identity. Then we saw a group of invisible players attack one of the strongholds Spoke had captured, and these players were from Purgatory. They were the same army that took Jumper away from Spoke. And while Spoke was dealing with them, Cindercrest attacked him again. And this is where I realized something. Taking over the overworld isn't going to be as easy as Spoke thinks, because just one player, Shoebilly, managed to kill a huge number of Null soldiers. So if Shoebilly can do that, what would players like Wembu or Flamefrags be able to do? If Spoke really wants to take over the entire overworld, he needs a better strategy. Towards the end, Spoke defeated Jumper and finally took over the last stronghold. And this is where we realized something interesting. Clownpierce might have actually saved Parrot's life, because if Clownpierce hadn't kidnapped Parrot's pearl would have stayed in that location, and the Null guards could have eventually found and killed him. So Clownpierce kidnapping Parrot might have accidentally saved him. But then, at the end of the video, Spoke said this.
Commander, today I have let Null down. I promised that we would conquer the overworld. Just as easy as it was in the end, but that was far from the truth.
Spoke, there is no way for you to know. The overworld's much more defended than the end.
But I did, Commander. I knew we would face stronger armies. I knew we would face smarter players, but I messed up. I've cost us Null lives, the strongholds of Cindercrest, and soon we may be forced to fight an outnumbered war.
Spoke, because of you, we won the War of Purgatory. We conquered the end. Now we control almost every stronghold on Unstable.
Thank you, Commander. But I think time for us to part ways. If we want to dominate the rest of Unstable and eliminate all civilization, I must learn more about the server's secrets. And out of all of Jamato's findings, there is one book that has caught my eye. The Tomb. Jamato corrupted this book for a reason. He knew whatever it was, it would be too dangerous for anyone to find. That's why we have to be the first.
Spoke, how are you planning to do that?
Well, Commander, there is one last realm I have yet to visit. A place that will reveal everything that I seek. The underworld.
Which means he's now heading into the underworld. And this is where things could get really interesting, because Spoke will finally meet Maypick. And I think Maypick might try to stop him. But just like Jumper, I don't think he'll be able to defeat Spoke, because Spoke still has the entire Null army behind him. So now the real question is, what is Spoke going to do in the underworld? And finally, let's talk about the invisible player. I think we may have underestimated him. He's much more powerful than we originally thought. He has already manipulated entire situations from behind the scenes. And he even outsmarted Wembu, eventually forcing him to work under Arachnid. But there's something very interesting about his identity. I think he's an old player, and we know that even Jamato P doesn't know who he really is. Instead, Jamato P simply wrote his name down as Wrath, which could mean something much bigger. What if Wrath is actually one of the 7 deadly sins of unstable SMP? The sin of Wrath represents uncontrolled hatred, rage, and an extreme desire for revenge. It's not just normal anger, it's the desire to punish or hurt others because of that hatred. And honestly, that description could fit this character perfectly. So if you know a player who matches these traits, let me know your theory in the comments. And click the video on the screen to watch unstable players farm aura.